City, raising 2 small boys by myself, and I had 0 social life because I worked full-time, which is how I found myself at the church's Valentine's Day dance with my mother. Now, fortunately for me, my friend Teresa showed up, and in tow, she had Mike. And I thought Mike was just the cutest thing since sliced bread, but he was very shy, and she knew I was not even on his radar. So we all sit down, and we're joined by 3 other people, and we're talking, and I noticed the guy across from me is kind of doing this, and I'm like creeping out a little. But we're at church, so it's cool. Until he leans over and he goes, I know you from somewhere. This never ends well. Okay? When somebody tells you that, because unless he works at my kids' daycare, my office, or the local grocery store, I don't know him, because I have 0 social life. So I'm like, I don't think so. And he goes, yeah, give me a second. And he goes, I know who you are. You are Shoo Shoo, the exotic dancer from the Red Dog Saloon on 10th Street. And inside I'm thinking, shut the front door. But what comes out is, and I look at my mom, and my mom's like codfish face. And then I go, Mike, shit. I look over and it's like, he's actually a little interested. The conversation has taken this turn. And I go, are you sure about that? And he goes, yes. He says, I love your act. I go 3 times a week to see you. And I'm like this, and then I feel tug, 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 and I look over, and it's the woman that's with him. And she goes, that is my brother-in-law, Ralph. And he's a complete and total asshole. He does this everywhere I take him. You have 2 choices. I wouldn't care if you bitch slapped him upside the head or you go along with it. Either way makes me know never mind. And I look at my mom, and I look at this woman, because in my house, the women have 1 choice. You are never rude, and you never draw attention to yourself. So the 2 options she has given me are not going to sit well with my mom. So I think about it for a minute, and I raise my hand, and I go, thank you very much, Ralph. My mother thinks I'm a mild-mannered secretary in an oil company, but you have to show up and tell her what I really do for a living. And I'm not even looking at my mom. And he goes, but Shushu, you have a great act. And I'm like, thank you. What to say? So in the course of the evening, I learn a couple things, and I come back at one point from dancing, and I have worn a turtleneck sweater, I have hair down halfway my back, and it's curly, and I am having a heat stroke. I am so hot. And I'm like, I found a paper plate, I'm doing this, and he's like, Shoo, what's the matter? You don't normally get so sweaty during your act. And I shoot back, do I normally wear this much clothing? Do not look at my mom. And he goes, yeah, point taken. And so during the course of the evening, I learned a bunch of things about my act. But the 3 that I remember after 30 years is this. 1, when I go home, I have more dollar bills than anybody else who worked that night. 2, I am so flexible that an Olympic gymnast would be jealous. Do not look at my mom. And 3, by the end of my act, the biggest part of my clothing that I have left is a boa constrictor, snake. My mom popped a Xanax at that point. Mike is still very interested in this conversation. So they get ready to leave, and then too soon, and he leans over and he tells me who he is. And he is the owner of the most popular restaurant in Oklahoma City you cannot get a reservation at. And he pulls out a business card and he writes something on it and he shoves it over to me. And it says, give this woman anything she wants. He says, you take that to my restaurant and they will take good care of you. I have zero social life. I have just scored. Right? Gold in the bank. So about 3 or 4 weeks later, I call Mike up on the phone, and I'm like, this is Karen Manus. Do you remember me from the Valentine dance? No. Teresa's friend? No. Shushu the exotic dancer? Oh, yeah, I remember you. So we go on the date, and the date becomes 2 dates, and then 3 dates, and then 4 years later, a marriage proposal. We've been married for 26 years. My kids call him Dad. I'm his gal, and he's my guy. And all because I said yes to being Shushu, the exotic dancer from the Red Dog Saloon on